Hello everyone, I am Eric.
And I'm Sarah.
And welcome to our 500 subscriber special.
Ooh, we literally wouldn't be doing this without you guys, so thank you.
Mwah. So it looks like you asked us some questions.
More than just a few.
Yeah, quite a bit. And we are going to answer those questions.
So buckle in and enjoy the show.
That's popcorn. I don't know.
Question number 1. What is the first video game you guys completed?
It was Onimusha, which is a hack and slash game from Capcom. It's got some like Resident Evil like puzzles. But yeah, I think that was the first one that at least I can remember was the first game I completed.
Yeah, when I was a kid, I feel like I played a lot of games, but I didn't beat them. So the first one that I remember ever beating was Nancy Drew, The Ghost Dogs of Moon Lake. That game has a very special place in my heart.
That's a click and play? Click and play game, right?
Point click.
Point and click. That's what I always mix
Every
it up.
time.
Question number 2, how'd you start out your video game history?
So when I was a kid, my parents weren't really into video games, like allowing us to play video games. But we did have a Sega Genesis.
Ooh.
So I played a lot of Sonic. Again, I never beat it, but I did play Sonic. I also played the old school Tomb Raider games, but those terrified me, so I never finished those either. So the Nancy Drew games really were my first big video game experience. I played a ton of those when I was a kid, and then when I was 15 or 16, we got a PS3. Which was a complete surprise. I never would have thought we would have gotten a PS3. That was kind of like my first serious step into the gaming world.
It's a big step. And for me, mine started with fighting games, particularly on the Super Nintendo. Like you got your classic Mortal Kombat's, Killer Instincts, and then eventually that led into more of like Street Fighter. Then eventually to one of my favorite fighting game franchises, Tekken. I still play it to this day. But eventually I went through this weird like FIFA and Call of Duty phase, which was filled with a lot of late nights and Monster Energy drinks. But it wasn't until I started playing like games like Fallout, Skyrim, the Batman Arkham series, where I started to be more exposed to games with like a more of an open world dynamic and a more of a stronger narrative to them.
So going along with that, Eric, what were some magic moments that you've had throughout your gaming history?
There's quite a few, but 2 that come to my mind was in the God of War 2018 when Kratos goes back to his house and picks up his Blades of Chaos.
Yeah, pretty epic.
Pretty cool scene. It kind of just, you knew something was going to happen, something badass was going to happen, and didn't disappoint that game. So, and the next one for me was the magical dance scene by Dante in Devil May Cry 5. Probably
that was wacky.
Definitely wacky, but I had a lot of fun, and I had a lot of fun playing that game.
At the end of the first game of the Tomb Raider reboot, the newer Tomb Raider series, she whips out her dual pistols, and it's very disappointing because you never actually get to use them, but that moment was very cool.
Very iconic.
And I also really loved the snowball fight in The Witcher 3 between Ciri and Geralt, of course, because, you know, it's all very serious things that are going on. And it's just like, it's a really touching moment, you know?
Next question. Why do you want to be a gamer? And what's the best thing about playing video games?
How do we choose? I think for me, one of the things that I like the most about gaming is just the worlds that you get to experience. Growing up, I was a big reader, and I feel like video games, at least the ones that I tend to gravitate towards, are kind of a cool extension of that, you know, because it's kind of like reading a story or following along with a story, but you get to see it in front of you. But I just like, you know, being immersed in the world and really getting to experience it for yourself.
I think for me too, a big thing kind of similar to Sarah is the immersion, like being immersed into all these different worlds, because each game, right, can be very different, whether it be more of a narrative based game, more of a hack and slash. And regardless of which though, I always find myself lost into these storylines and these plots. I know there's been some games where I spent like hundreds of hours Probably should have been doing something more, maybe some work and other things, but I've just always enjoyed just that immersion and being so locked in a video game, especially if you're playing like a game with like tough bosses or something like that. Nothing's more satisfying than beating a very difficult boss.
I, on the other hand, will rage quit after like 2 tries, so...
Yeah, when it comes to patience, someone has a little bit more than that when it comes to video games.
Okay, let's move on. What is your favorite game genre?
Ooh, this is a big one.
It is.
I appreciate a action RPG with a little hint of open world, but also a little bit of hack and slash too. I don't know if that game exists. I'm sure it does. When it comes to combat, having a freedom to like choose different types of styles and going about games different ways is something I really enjoy. I think the first initial taste I got about that was the original Skyrim. So you can be like a magician, have a dual sword, have one big sword, that kind of stuff I really enjoy.
I am a sucker for a good open world RPG, maybe with some puzzle elements to it. That's my jam.
Another big question, favorite game / games of all time?
Yeah, this could be very telling of who we are as
Ooh,
people.
I'm a little nervous,
So we're actually going to do top 3 because how can you pick just one? Number 1 for me is The Witcher 3. I played The Witcher 3 pretty soon after we started dating for the first time I played it. And it's just, I mean, as many of you probably already know, it's a fantastic game with a great story. I love the characters, the gameplay, the never-ending quests. Second is the first Dishonored. I just really enjoy the option to, like have different play styles, to have multiple endings. And I love games where there are, like, if you explore, you get rewarded, and also just another pretty cool story. And then in third place, I will currently say it is Fallout New Vegas, which I played quite a while ago, but again, very similar. Like, if you explore, you're rewarded. It's just a really freaking fun game. But it will tentatively move to fourth place because I'm currently playing The Long Dark, which I really, really like. I just haven't finished it yet, so I have to withhold my final judgment.
So for me, we gotta go the 2018 God of War. Before I played this game, I binged the entire series, part 1, 2, 3. Eventually I played like the side games, like a lot of just hack and slash, a lot of pots were broken, a lot of chests were open. But eventually I was able to beat and master the masterpiece that is God of War 2018. It's Kratos with a beard. I mean, what more can you say about that, right? Next up, a game that I'm sure some of you viewers know pretty well, and that is The Last of Us Part Dos. We had a lot of fun playing that game.
Well, fun is the right word.
I guess it was kind of fun. I mean, all the bottle fails I did were fun. This blowing up bloaters were fun.
Yes,
but
true.
The many deaths and the sadness that the game really brings out of you was not as fun, but it was a very wonderful experience. And it's a game that I'll just never really forget. And then third is a game series called Nioh. I believe I'm saying that right, particularly Nioh 2. I can best compare it to like the Dark Souls games. It's a game where it's, enemies respawn, the bosses are freaking impossible to beat. It's going to take you like at least 7 to 20 tries to beat a boss. I think on the second one, I put in about a little over 100 hours. So I kind of like the game a little bit.
And we have a few honorable mentions that we couldn't not talk about a little.
We got the Uncharted series, of course, another Naughty Dog game. T-Lu 1. I really enjoyed Resident Evil 1 Remastered. Very good game. Batman Arkham Knight from the Arkham series.
The first Tomb Raider game that I mentioned earlier in the reboot series. Heavy Rain, which is kind of a weird game, but a lot of fun. The Walking Dead, which we are currently playing through. And Resident Evil 5, which we played together.
Yeah.
It's not the most flawless gameplay experience, but it is a really fun co-op experience.
Definitely.
Especially when you're playing on a lower difficulty level. What is your hidden gem game?
Okay, I'm going to go back to a series that I just mentioned, and it's Nioh. I feel like oftentimes it kind of gets lost into like the Dark Souls series, Bloodborne as well. But for me, I think it's a game that I really enjoy, but I don't think it's as talked about as those others that I just mentioned.
I'm going to say Kona. It is a relatively short game, but it is kind of open world. It has a mystery basically that you're trying to solve, along with some supernatural elements. It's really cool. It does have some bugginess because I think it was originally made for PC and I played it on PlayStation, but it's right up my alley, kind of similar to The Long Dark, so I really enjoyed that.
Next question. First or third person games?
I'm gonna have to go with first person.
Okay. 10 years ago, I would have said first person, but I developed some really crazy motion sickness, so I gotta go with the third person games.
Do you guys prefer story-based combat games or narrative choice-based games?
I wish we can I'm sure there's games we can combine both elements, but I think in the end, I would probably go more story-based combat.
Yeah, that's really tough for me because my favorite games are kind of a mix of the two. I mean, I guess I'll give it to more story-driven combat, but that's really tough. It's very, very close.
If you could work on a game, what type and genre of game would you write/make?
This is actually kind of fun because I took a video game writing class in college.
Really?
And we did this. We came up with our own like plot for a story, which was very similar to what I would say now. It would be an open world detective game with action elements. So I don't know if that really exists. Maybe it does to some extent, but I think that would be the game I would want to play, so that's why I would want to make it.
For me, it would be like an action RPG with like a hack and slash element, but also like a choose your own path. So kind of like, I mean, the closest to that would be like a Skyrim, maybe a Fallout, but more heavy on the hack and slash. I really like hack and slash, okay?
Are you trying to say something? Are you angry inside? Which game character do you most relate to?
So obviously, I think the first character that comes to my mind is Leon S. Kennedy from the Resident Evil series. One, well, you both have awesome salon quality like hair, but two, Leon's always in these crazy situations, but despite being in those situations, he always keeps a very calm and cool collective presence, and I feel like I have a calm and cool collective presence, usually.
I feel like I don't really play a lot of games with characters that are similar to me, so if I'm similar to any game characters you can think of, let me know.
Which game character's shoes would you most like to be in for a day?
I'm going to say Corvo from Dishonored because he has some pretty cool powers and he's really good at sneaking around, and I feel like I would want to be able to stealth really well. So.
I gotta go with my boy Wario from the Mario universe. I feel like I don't need an explanation. I really love Wario. He's always been one of my favorite characters. If I'm playing Mario Kart or Mario Party, I'm running Wario. It's just, he's my boy.
Okay, the next question is a creative one. You wake up in a Saw-type situation where you must complete a video game challenge to save both of your lives. You can communicate freely, but only one of you can actually play. You do not know the nature of the game nor the specifics of the challenge in advance. Who picks up the controller?
Oh, this is tough because if it's a puzzle game, but if I pick up the controller, it's a wrap for us. We're done.
But we can communicate freely.
But I'm bad at receiving directions.
Oh, no, I think you'd do fine. I'm just worried if we got into this situation where it's like a Bloodborne type game or something like that, we'd be dead. Yeah. So I feel like it would make more sense for you to take it.
Thank you. Hopefully one day we'll be able to do that. Right?
I don't hope that.
So we have a couple questions related to The Walking Dead, Telltale's The Walking Dead, which is a series that we're currently playing on the channel. So, if you, after this video is done, if you haven't looked at it yet, you should, check it out. What is one thing you love and hate about The Walking Dead game thus far?
Well, I hate some of the situations that they put you in.
Yeah, definitely.
I guess something that I both love and hate is that they're pretty good at, especially in the first season, at developing the characters and making you feel like you're really like part of the group and that you know the people that are around you. So when it comes time to have to make a tough decision, it's like really tough. I'm enjoying the game so far, but I'm also kind of excited to be done because this is so stressful.
Yeah, I would say that's probably the hardest part for me is just dealing with the stress. I feel like, especially with season 2 that we're playing, it's been the most stressful yet. But yeah, I've also just really loved like the immersion of the game, and I feel like you as a character, even though it's like Clem or Lee, you are essentially making the decisions, right? So it feels like you're actually Clem, you're actually Lee, and I really enjoy that part of it.
Who is your favorite Walking Dead character so far? And we're not counting Lee or Clementine.
Okay, so no Lee, no Clementine. Okay, the goats. I'm gonna go with my boy Omid because I feel like I would act in a very similar way that he would during the apocalypse. I'd be the one cracking jokes. I mean, just imagine all of like the undead puns you could do during this. It's comic gold, really.
For me, I'm going to say Kenny because I mean he doesn't always make the best decisions, I guess you could say. But I do think that he is a very complex character. And like, if you really think about it, you can understand where he's coming from. So I like that, obviously that he's been here for a long time and we've gotten to see him change alongside Clementine. So yeah, I would say Kenny. It's time to get into the juicy details.
Ooh, this is more about us. So the big question that everybody's dying to know, how did we meet?
Well, it is a classic romance story, walked into a bar. No, I'm just kidding.
We met on Tinder. Woo. But I will say it was not a traditional swipe right. I actually swiped up, which if you ever use Twitter, Tinder, swapping up, it's a super like. So I super liked Sarah, and
it worked.
Yeah, who knows if it would have been a traditional boring like, we may not be here right now.
And Eric and Sarah level up would not exist.
It would cease to exist.
What are your hobbies, interests, or field of study outside of gaming?
Some interests. I like playing tennis. I've always been a big tennis fan. Sarah likes playing tennis too. I like playing poker. I've actually turned Sarah into a poker player as well.
And I beat him the last couple of times that we played.
We're gonna edit that out. Also a pretty big film lover. I love watching films. I also love eating food while watching those films. So I'm a big foodie, as they call it in this day and age. As far as like field of study, I was a psychology major. So I'm analyzing you right now.
In college, I was an English major. I do enjoy reading when I have the chance. I enjoy collecting plants, getting a little crafty, doing some drawing every now and again. I like to thrift. And I also would say that YouTube is a hobby for both of us because, not only do we game, but we film and edit and, do all the YouTube stuff. So we spend a lot of time on that.
What was your funniest moment together, and does Eric make bad jokes in real life or only when playing in video games?
The short answer is yes, Eric does make bad jokes in real life.
Maybe bad, they may be bad to some, but they're all winners in my book.
But the thing is, the bad jokes always make me laugh. So are they really that bad, I would say that, just our average daily life, we like to joke around a lot, and when Eric starts laughing at his own jokes, then I start laughing, and it's just a good time.
Yeah.
Next up, what are your biggest pet peeves?
For me, this is something that's been with me since I was in school, but it's when someone's like talking or like presenting something, and people are like talking over them. I don't know, that just like, it really grinds my gears, and I just want to, if I was Kratos, I could just, use my blade. Okay, never mind. I'm going too far with that.
I would say my biggest pet peeve at the moment is, we live in an apartment and the floors are a bit thin. And when we're going to record and our neighbors are bumping the music, people are moving furniture around, it's kind of annoying.
What are some little or small things or moments that bring you a lot of joy in life?
Currently, sun. We live in Ohio, very cloudy here, so sun, especially on a cold day, is really nice. The smell of the ocean breeze is one of my favorite experiences.
This is kind of weird, but like opening a fresh can of tennis balls It's just, I don't know, it's very satisfying. It's like this new smell. And yeah, it's really
Even
cool.
the sound it makes when
Yeah.
you peel the thing back.
And also positive comments, which you guys leave plenty of, and we really appreciate them with all our hearts.
What is your favorite film genre?
I'm always a big fan of a thriller, whether it be a psychological thriller, an action thriller, a crime thriller. I just like to be thrilled. But I can't forget my horror genre. I like a good slasher flick, the original Halloween.
Eric is a big movie buff, if you couldn't tell.
A little bit, but I dabble in movies.
I'm going to go with action comedy movies. So one perfect example is The Nice Guys.
What is your favorite sad / tragic / depressing comfort movie?
I will go with The Thing because it is kind of tragic because everyone dies. Spoiler if you haven't seen it.
Maybe we don't know. There's a mysterious ending there.
Well, pretty much it's kind of terrible, but it's a really solid, well-made movie. I'm sure you've all seen it already, but
for me, it would be The Crow. It's a very dark movie. There's a lot of tragedy behind the making of the film as well. But it's a movie that no matter what, if it's always on, I'm always going to watch it. It's one of my favorite movies of all time.
You guys want to know what games and movies have made us cry?
Well, to be honest, we could probably just dedicate a whole video to all of that. Just have a giant video that says movies we've cried to. You have The Lion King, obviously, the big death scene there. The original 1995 Mortal Kombat movie. There's a big scene there that's, I don't want to spoil anything because it's, it's a great film. Terminator 2 is another heartbreaking scene in that one. A lot of the Rocky movies, I've done a couple of tears there as well.
Yeah, I tend to tear up pretty easily at a lot of things, but The Last Samurai was definitely a tearjerker. I think we both maybe cried a little with both Avengers Infinity War and Endgame.
Yeah.
And then as far as video games, we have lately been playing a lot of tearjerkers. I think like half the games that we played on the channel have made us cry. So we have The Walking Dead, of course, Tilu 2, and we played Plague Tale earlier this year, which had a few, heart-wrenching moments.
Yeah.
So
Thoughts on the Last of Us HBO show?
I think we're both excited for it. We'll definitely be watching it. I don't know a ton of the details that are out so far.
Yeah, I would say overall I'm pretty excited. I'm glad that they decided to make it a TV show rather than a full film, just because there's more room for like character development, world building as well. So I'm just glad they didn't try to put everything all in one film. And I hopefully, if this does go well, it'll pave the way for more video game to TV adaptations.
But at the same time, I don't want to get my hopes up too high because with these things, they tend to, not meet your expectations.
Right. They can be a little hit and miss, right?
We'll just have to see what happens.
Yeah.
Who is the best cook and what's your favorite dish that they make? What do you think, Eric? Who's the best cook?
You gotta give it, hands down, you gotta give it to Sarah here. If you're from the South, you may have heard something called a Frito pie. Of course, this is in the United States, but if you live in the Midwest, you may refer to it as a walking taco. Regardless of which, basically, you get a bowl, put some Fritos in there, then you lay it up with chili and cheese. Now, that's the traditional way. But what we like to do, Sarah kicks it up a notch and adds her own chili and mac and cheese. And if you really want to get creative with it, you can add in sour cream, avocado, pico de gallo, the works.
It's pretty intense.
Yeah, and it's a perfect meal for the winter time, so I definitely recommend it's the Frito pie. What kind of music are you two into?
I listen to mostly forms of indie pop, I would say. So AJR is my favorite band, and otherwise I just listen to like one-off songs that come up on my Spotify Discover Weekly. So that's how I find my new music. And I also have to give a shout out to my sister Anna, who is a very talented musician. Check out their Spotify.
My music taste has been through quite an evolution. When I was a little kid, I would listen to the likes of Blink-182 and like Papa Roach and Limp Bizkit. But nowadays, you can find me listening to some subgenres known as vaporwave and chillwave. Definitely a little different, a little mind-blowing, but if you're into something kind of cool, definitely recommend that. Some of my favorite bands include like Daft Punk, as well as Neon Indian. So props if you know any of those bands.
Do you have any pets?
Yes, we do. As a matter of fact, everyone meet our cat, Amelia. She's so excited to be on camera. Say hi, Amelia.
She just woke up, so she's not too happy.
She is pissed off right now.
Look at the camera.
Hi.
Look at the camera.
How are you doing? We're everyday humans, you know, we have our ups and downs. It's getting cloudy outside, so less sunlight, but making these videos, building a community with you all is something that really brings us a lot of joy. So on that note, feeling pretty good.
Some of you guys wanted to know a little bit about the channel, why we started, all that sort of stuff. So let's get to that. What made you two want to start a gaming channel, and were you nervous about starting it?
So originally we had another channel. It was, believe it or not, a cooking channel. We were kind of had a lot of fun with it, but in the end we decided to go in a different direction.
So I have been watching gaming content creators on YouTube for a really long time. Honestly, probably like the past 10 years, you know? I mean, I've always enjoyed watching that content and thought it would be cool to be able to do it myself.
And I personally have always enjoyed doing something creative. I remember when I was like in high school, I would do like short videos with my friends. So I've always wanted to do something that had a lot of creativity, but also incorporate like video content as well.
So as Eric mentioned, we had another channel, but you know, we had actually like wanted to start a gaming channel, but at the time we just didn't have like the right equipment for it. So we needed to have better editing software, and neither of our computers could handle it. So eventually I built my own computer, which I use for work, and I use Adobe Premiere, which we also use for editing. And then once we had that, we could start making gaming content.
And then from there, the ball was rolling and things went off. But I think the most thing that we were nervous about was just making our videos presentable to you guys. If you remember from our older videos, our setup was pretty whack.
Don't look.
Even on our first Last of Us Part 2 playthrough, you could see that we were actually filming right here. We had this big black wrinkled sheets, and we just looked like we were just like, you wouldn't want to meet us in the back alleyway or something like that. Very intimidating. But since then, you know, I think with Sarah and I, we always want to keep improving our content. What can we do better? Always thinking about the next step ahead. And I think that's something that we've really try to integrate within our content. This question's from a fellow Eric. Why did you decide to start this channel as a couple?
So again, we did have another channel, which we did as a couple. So I think that's part of the reason. But we have also, honestly, ever since we started dating, we've been doing like the, you know, one of us plays a game and the other person watches. So it kind of just is a natural progression. You know, we're basically doing the same thing now, except we're saying things out loud. And we also were very similar in our personalities. So I think it just, you know, we kind of like our conversation flows well. We kind of have like a sense for when someone's going to say something and all that. So I feel like we know that we can work together well. So why not have fun doing a channel? What other games do you plan on playing in the future? Question of the year, literally.
Yeah, there's a lot of games you want to play for the channel, and particularly a big one that I'm sure many of you are excited about is Red Dead Redemption 2. At the beginning of this year, we started Telltale's Batman Season 1, and we want to finish that off by the end of this year, so we'll be playing Season 2 as well, Enemy Within.
Don't forget to watch the first season so you're prepared.
Life is Strange, particularly the remastered version, hopefully. Detroit Become Human.
That will probably be coming at the beginning of next year.
Maybe, if we had a guess. I don't know. It could be a big surprise. Who knows?
Right.
Resident Evil 7. We just binged like the entire RE series, so we're ready to play, I think, 7 and 8 for the channel. And then pending a PS5, we'd really love to play God of War Ragnarok, and the sequel to A Plague Tale, A Plague Tale Requiem.
And of course, this, depends on what you guys want to see. I know some of you have requested a few of these games at least, so that's exciting. And off screen, we also continue to play games that we either just don't think are a good fit for the channel or just want to play by ourselves. So as I mentioned, I'm currently playing The Long Dark, and I'm also restarting for the third time because I've never finished it, playing Sleeping Dogs.
So I just finished up Yakuza 0, so I'm pretty much gonna be binging 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and Like a Dragon for the next, year. So
who knows?
I'm pretty much set on that. And the final question. I can't
Get
believe
a drum roll.
What are your future YouTube milestones and or content goals?
From the beginning, we have always thought, not expected or, even thought it wouldn't necessarily happen, but we have always kind of hoped that this could eventually turn into a full-time gig one day.
We're just really passionate about the content that we create, and again, the community that we've been building. It's just been really fun just to play video games and converse with you guys, and just being able to experience games that you guys have really enjoyed, and just being able to share those moments with each other is something that we've really enjoyed, even though they can be sad and depressing, like Last of Us, Walking Dead, etc.
Yeah, it does feel like, we just have friends that we're hanging out with and we're talking about the game. And I think it's made playing games like a completely different experience than we have ever had before.
And, both of us being introverts, it's nice that, again, we can talk to people. Yeah. Even if it's over the internet, we're still chatting in some way, right?
But along with that, we would love to do more. The 3 videos a week that we do currently are pretty time consuming, but eventually we'd love to do sketches, just other fun, goofy stuff. Who knows what that could mean, but other types of videos that may be related to gaming, but aren't necessarily Let's Plays.
If you've seen our Telltale Batman, we actually had a skit at the beginning of that first episode.
Johnson?
What is it, Commissioner Gordon?
Call the bat.
Right away, sir.
So there's little things like that we want to just kind of continue and be creative on as we continue on with this channel.
Yeah, I think really our goal is just to make you smile, make you laugh, maybe.
That was a fake laugh, I'm sorry. Another goal we have for us is to just upgrade our gear. Now, the gear that we're using isn't the best, but we may have to save that for another video. Ooh. Obviously, a PS5, a new camera, and just overall, just a lot of things.
It takes more than you would expect.
Yeah.
Hopefully, all of your burning questions have been answered.
Yeah, this is our first successful Q&A. And we're really excited to do more videos like this in the future. And again, a big, not small, big size thank you for joining us on our series and really just interacting with us. It's a lot of fun talking to you guys. And we made it far, and we're just, the ceiling is up, right? Is that a thing? High ceiling and being able to reach
There's no ceiling? I don't know.
There's no ceiling, right? Something with ceilings and stars and skies. I have no idea. The point is, we're going to keep going. We're not stopping the Eric and Star level up train anytime soon.
Honestly, there are so many gaming content creators out there that when we started, we were excited, but we didn't have super high expectations for how far we would get. So for us to reach 500 subscribers in 6-ish months is honestly crazy.
Yeah, and it's something that we're really proud of.
So thank you so much for your support. All of you who leave kind comments, all of those of you who watch but don't necessarily comment. I know I'm a silent viewer myself.
We know you're out there, and
Yes.
we are very appreciative. I'm doing a lot of kissing. I don't know why. Well, on that note, the video is coming to an end. I think, we've rambled long
I
enough.
know, right?
I need some water. Jesus Christ. We will see you around. We'll see you in the next video. And until then, check you later.
That's not what we say.
Bye.